Hey guys and girls, it's Billy Tziatas for Sparrow LEATHERCRAFT, and this is part 2 of the video in which I show you the stitching thing, how to do stitches. In the first video I showed you how to do the saddle stitch, with which you can do almost like 90+% of leather projects. And in this video I'm gonna show you the cross stitch, which you can use to join two pieces of leather together like this, instead of face to face, like with the saddle stitch. With this you can join two sides up together like this. So yeah, I guess you understand. So let's get going. Alright, so first of all, I'm gonna use the same piece of leather like before, just join them together like that. What we of course need to do is mark the stitching line, just like before, using this little tool, and punch our holes. So let me just do that quickly. One line, two lines. Now, I think for cross stitching, it's much easier and it looks nicer to use the round hole punch instead of the diamond one. So I'm just gonna use that to make a few holes into these two pieces of leather. Just like before, like we showed. Line the stitching prongs up with a line. 4. Enough for the experiment. Same on here. So now that is done, let's make sure we have the same amount of holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 8. Yeah, same amount. Now, just like before, gonna use thread. Just like before, I'm using the 4 times the stitching distance rule. Maybe with a little bit more extra, because with the cross stitching it just takes a little bit more thread. So 1, 2, 4, and because this is pretty short and I want to have enough space to show you, I'm just gonna use even more. This is much too much, but yeah, it's gonna help with showing you how it's done. Okay, just like in the last video, thread through the needle head. This, and then needle through the thread at least once, maybe even twice. So it looks like this, and then just pull this side a little bit more, and then pull it over like this, and the thread is locked. Just like on the saddle stitch, we're gonna do the same as with the saddle stitch, to have a needle on each side of the thread. Lock it in place. Alright, we have the thread, 2 needles, and now 2 pieces of leather. What you're gonna do first is lock the thread in place. How do we do that? We take both our needles and put them in both pieces of leather through the first hole, through the one, through the other. Pull them through all the way. Right, we have the piece of thread going through both pieces, coming out the back, and now from the back we're gonna put the right side in the left hole and the left side in the right hole, and we're gonna pull them out or push them through to the front, and just gonna pull them out here in the front, one by one, And again, always try to keep the two pieces of thread the same length. All right. Just pull it a little bit tighter so that the two pieces of leather are face to face. Now, how do we continue? You can either go right side first or left side first, doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna take the right side needle and put it in the left hole and pull it through. And then I'm gonna take the left hand needle and put it in the right hole. All right, be careful to keep it on the top, just like this. And you can already see the first cross has been formed. So we went from left to right and from right to left. How do we continue? We go to the back side and we don't continue to do a cross, but now we're going to do to the same height. So again, from right to left, but not to the next, to the same hole as before. What I usually do is keep the thread here on the inside and the right side now on the outside. Go through, push it through, and at the same time, get the left needle and push it through the right hole. Turn it around, pull the two pieces, the two needles out, pull it tight, not too tight. If you pull too strongly, it's gonna push one piece of leather over the other and it's not gonna look nice. So tight enough, but not too tight. And same thing again. Right needle, left hole, left needle, right hole, push them through, pull from the other side. Another cross or another X is formed. Flip it over. Right to left on the same height, left to right on the same height. Going through, pull out this side, one after the other, and pull tight. One more time, just for good measure. Right to left, left to right, and pull through to the back. Oh, something went wrong here. You see, this can happen. I didn't pull it completely and it made a knot somehow, so I have this left over. So I have to go back here and see where I can pull more thread. This one goes in here, so this thread. Ah, yeah, here we go. It was this thread, now the excess is gone, and I can continue normally. Again, right to left on the outside, left to right. So you always want to check on the back side or on the inside of whatever you're stitching, that there isn't any loop stuck somewhere. But yeah, again, and pull through. There's the one and the other, and pull tight. Check the back that we're clean, and again, right to left, left to right, and again, switch sides. What you wanna do is, like in the saddle stitch, be careful that you don't go through the thread with a needle, because this will make things weird. And just about as I said it, I went through the thread with my needle. So pull it back out and go through clean. Okay, go through, pull it tight. Now, a little other technique I do sometimes with the cross stitch is basically the same thing, but what I do is first I go a few times with the left hand needle and then a few times with the right hand needle. So let's start with the right hand. I'm gonna go through to the back, the hole down, pull it through, and now instead of going with the left hand and going over, I'm just gonna keep going with the right hand on the back on the same height, going back to the front. and then one step down, back to the back, and on the back again forward. So now I have this two one-sided things. I can do the 2, 3, maybe 5 times even. Then I take the left hand and go to the right to form the X. Pull it through with the X, go to the back, go to the other side, pull through, form the second X, pull through, go to the back, and again to the front through the other side, and pull tight. You can do whichever you like. The first one is a bit tighter because you're gonna do every knot on its own. The second way might be a little bit faster, but it might be a little bit more tricky to get tight. What you can do with the second technique is to use the stitching awl and just go into the X and pull the thread up one by one, on the front and on the back, and then on the finishing, which helps tighten up each knot on its own. And how do we finish the cross stitch? Similarly to the saddle stitch, we're gonna go a step back. So right hand, left hand, we're gonna go from the right hand to the left hand hole, but not to the next, to the same. Here, where the left hand thread comes out. What I'm gonna do again, so I don't go with the right needle through the left thread, just through the hole, I'm gonna pull the left thread to the inside and go in with the needle on the outside. And same with the opposite. Left needle through the right hole, pulling the thread, the right thread to the left. Push through, both of them, and pull them out the back. Now, the front looks nice. We have the start, the stop, and all the X's in the middle. And here on the back, now I can remove the needles from the thread. Just pull them off. And since this will usually be on the inside of anything you cross stitch, you can just make a couple of knots, 2 knots, maybe even 3 knots to make a nice lump of thread. And while pulling the 2 threads up, I often twist them a little bit so they're nice and together. Just gonna use the lighter to melt the thread here at the end. See, it's on fire, it's melted, press it, and we have the threads locked. They're knotted together, melted together. There's a lump of thread that is not gonna come loose. The outside looks just nice. The 2 pieces of leather joined together, not face to face, but edge to edge. The bag is locked, and yeah. This is how you do a cross stitch. I don't use this stitch so often, but I've used it, for example, on my cowboy hats. I use it on the back of the crown to stitch the crown together nicely, and it's also quite a decorative stitch. So that's it for cross stitching. Thank you for watching this video too. You know, like, subscribe and so on. It helps the channel and my little business. And yeah, stay tuned for future videos. See you, bye.